Hi, today is not a good day. This is my 150 to 400mm OM lens and it's broken. Hopefully not too seriously. It's the tripod foot. It won't turn. Now there's only one lock on it, which is this one here. If I lock it up, it won't turn. Unlock it and it should turn all the way round, but it won't. It'll only go so far. And in fact, if I put my lens on the tripod, the camera is upside down, so it's really unusable. I've taken the neoprene cover off it and the anchors for the quick release straps, and I've done that for two reasons. One, if it's got to go in the repair shop, you've got to take all the accessories off it, and secondly, I just started to have doubts. Is there a switch underneath that neoprene that you can lock this to stop it turning? So I had to take the neoprene off just to check. I've never used such a lock and I couldn't believe there was one, and I haven't found one. So I have a problem. So 9 o'clock this morning, I was on the phone. I phoned up Luton camera repairers who I've used before. They specialise in Olympus stroke OM cameras and they're the closest to me. There aren't that many OM camera repairers. You can send it back to OM cameras, of course, and there's one in Glasgow, Johnson's, I think, but there's lots for Sony and Canon and Nikon, not so many for OM cameras. But Olympus in Luton camera repairers, I phoned them up and they're going to take a look at it for me, so I'm on my way there now. Warranty wise, well, I've had it for 2.5 years, so it's outside of the warranty. I bought it second hand anyway, although I do know the person I bought it off and I see him most years and speak to him on the phone frequently, so I'm sure he would have helped me if it was still under the warranty, but it isn't. But hopefully not too costly, and speed is the important thing. It's not so much the money matters, but I don't want too much downtime. So I'm hoping that my 150 to 400mm lens is not in the repair shop for too long. If it's a simple repair, I'm hoping to get it back this week. The problem will be if it needs spare parts. If they've got to order spare parts in, that can be the time-consuming part. But I'm not stuck. I never did sell my 300mm f4 Olympus lens. I've kept that. It's a wonderful lens. I don't like using primes anymore. It's like driving a car with one gear. You have a big zoom lens, it's like driving a car with 6 gears. It's an enormous advantage to have that zoom. So, but I have kept the lens just in case. I've also got the 100 to 400mm OM lens, or at least my wife has, so I can use that as well. So I'm not stuck, so I'm still out here trying to find things to photograph. Now, bird watching has become very high tech, just like photography really. So first of all, you've got your binoculars and you're scanning around looking for things to find, but now I've got my thermal imager as well, this Pulsar XP50, and after I've scanned with the binoculars, I scan with this, and it's amazing. You do pick things up, little red blobs out there that you see, and then you've got to go back to your binoculars to identify what those blobs are, but you do find things, little birds just moving about in the background you don't see with your binoculars. On top of that, I've got the Merlin app running on the mobile phone. The Merlin app is absolutely fantastic for identifying bird calls. So I have that running just in case I'm missing something, which is very possible. And it tells me all the bird songs that you can hear. And I hear people complaining about it and saying it's not accurate. Well, nothing's 100%, but it's very, very good. And it does pick out things that I have missed. And it's free. It's a bargain. So that's 3 accessories, but there's a 4th one, and it's the most valuable one of all, the stool. I've always got a stool with me in the car, and I carry it about with me, just throw it over my neck and just walk around with it, because when I want to stop and watch, just to be able to sit down like this makes such a difference to your comfort. And you know, the slower you move, when you're trying to find things to photograph, the slower you move, the more you find. So quite often what I'm doing, I'll just sit here for 20-30 minutes just scanning in front of me, and then I'll move 50 meters to the left and sit and scan again. I don't do a lot of walking, it's just sitting and watching, and things appear when you sit still that you just didn't know were there, especially at this time of year in the spring. This last winter has been a terrible winter for great spotted woodpeckers coming into our feeding station. Just one bird came in. Normally you've got at least 4 individuals that you know about coming in at the same time. So they just seem to be very scarce, and during this early spring, as I'm walking around the woodland, I'm not hearing that much drumming. In fact, only one section of the wood has had a drumming woodpecker, and this is it. And it's got the advantage it's slightly hilly. So what I'm looking for is somewhere where a woodpecker is drumming and I can be slightly further up the slope and level with it. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and this is the right area. So I'm just going to sit around here and just watch and see if I can pin down where they're drumming from. They'll have more than one place they drum from, but they choose certain branches that cause that lovely loud sound they like to make. So this is the tree where I've seen the grey-spotted woodpecker drumming. It's higher than I'd like it to be, but at least I'm on a bit of an elevation which reduces the angle that I'm looking up at. I used to own some scaffolding, about a 20-foot scaffolding tower, aluminium, but I sold it a few years ago. I've just got to an age where carrying that about was just too much work. Anyway, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm just going to put the hide up here and then sit in, and hopefully it comes back and drums at some point. That will do. I've just got to go and fetch the cameras, and then we sit in and wait. Now, that woodpecker will have more than one place that it drums from, just like a songbird will have different song perches. And I've just heard it drumming behind me. I'm assuming it's the same bird, but it will do a circuit. So it will move around to different places where it drums, and hopefully at some point it's going to come back here. Maybe I'm going to sit here for 2 or 3 hours. I happen to enjoy sitting in hides for some reason, always have done. And I feel you see things from a hide you never see from walking about in the countryside. Things appear that you just didn't know were there. So I was talking about how for finding wildlife it helps to keep still. So I'm sitting on my stool just scanning and watching from one place. From a hide you see things more in detail, more close up. But there is a disadvantage to sitting in a hide. You've got restricted vision. If I'm outside the hide sitting on my stool, I can see all around me. Here I've just got the apertures that I'm looking out of, so it does restrict your view, but nevertheless you do see things in great detail and close up to you. Usually it's a male bird that does the drumming, but here it's a female, which is not unknown. The sound carries a very long distance. And this is the first time I've managed to film a woodpecker drumming. But over a period of a few days, I did get a male as well, on a different tree. I'm not very keen on this up and under angle that I'm shooting at. I'd rather be more level with the bird. The female drumming certainly had an effect. It attracted a male towards her. Whether that is with passion or aggression, I'm not sure. Something else I'm filming for the first time, a woodpecker excavating its nest hole. And quite low down, so you can see I'm not angling the camera up, I'm more or less level with it, thanks to the sloping hillsides. But this nest hole wasn't completed. It dug it out to a certain degree, then abandoned it and tried another tree. And they've made much more progress with this hole. Both the male and the female share the workload of the digging of the hole. I was actually a bit disappointed. I was hoping to see bits of wood come flying out of the hole, but that doesn't really happen. Perhaps it does later when the hole is very deep and they go inside completely. There's the female. I tried it in slow motion in case I could see bits of wood coming out. I've only just realised it, but there's another bird got a nest in a hole just here as well, a different species. The nuthatch does exactly the opposite to a woodpecker. It uses an old hole and it tries to make the entrance smaller by putting mud around the entrance hole. Now, they don't always need to. If the hole is small enough in the first place, they won't add any mud to it. But I think this bird has put some mud in. I would really need some step ladders to get up in the air to check it, but I think I could see a layer of mud inside the hole, and here it's just tidying it up a bit. But nesting next to a great spotted woodpecker's nest is not a good idea. The woodpecker has now come to the nuthatch nest and it's trying to break its way in. At the moment there's no young in there, there's no eggs in there, but later on when that nuthatch has got youngsters who are going to be making a lot of noise calling, it's going to attract that woodpecker and it's going to break into that nest. They will take the young of the nuthatch and eat them. So the nuthatch has come back after the woodpecker has been having a go at its nest and just checking things out. They line the bottom of the nest with bits of bark and leaves. Now if you put time into watching a nuthatch building its nest, then you'll see something that happens with many other species too. The male will sing within the vicinity of that nest, and if you're lucky and if there's a nice suitable low down perch, you might get a singing nuthatch. Something else I've never filmed before. Thanks for watching.